Chris here again. I just wanted to do a quick video or a closer look at my esee laser strike. As most people who enjoy knives, there's rarely a knife that you get, unless it's a custom knife built to your specs. There's rarely a knife that you're completely happy with right out of the box. So I'll go through some of the things that I've done to change and make my esee a little more user-friendly for myself. So starting on the outside, I did not like the belt clip that came with the esee. It was a pain in the butt. It was like a metal clip. It's not very comfortable. It rode very high on the hip, and it was always in the way. You'd sit down and it would be in the way. It would be poking you or jabbing into whatever you're sitting on. It was a pain. So I pulled that off, and using some scrap leather I had kicking around from some other little projects. Keeping in mind that this is a version 1. This was just leftover, basically, that I had, and I had to kind of piece it together. So bear that in mind. So we flip it over. I cut a couple pieces of leather, one to create like a small pocket. So should you decide to, throw something back in there, whether it's like a spare ferro rod or a small ferro rod or something like that, whether it be a few fishing hooks or something like that, something small would fit inside this little pocket here. And then for a cross draw carry, I put a piece in here and stitched it, and then it's also held with the Chicago screws. And this works really well, actually. It's a very comfortable way for me to carry this knife. It's never in the way, even if I sit in my hammock or lay in my hammock. This doesn't jab down into the hammock, or it's not uncomfortable. And then this here strap, which would be normally used for your right hand carry, this then becomes a good place to keep, say, your ferro rod when you're using it as a cross draw. So you can just drop it in, and there you have it. It's basically locked right in there. It's not, you really got to kind of tug on that to get it to come out. But anyway, so then that would be carried like this on your hip, and then your ferro rod is here, or even like a pocket knife. If it has a belt clip, fits nicely in here, so that smaller tasks or whatever. Actually, here I have a pocket knife right here. I can show you. There. So basically, that pocket clip is stiff. So there you have a good way to carry a pocket knife that has a clip, and your fixed blade in a cross draw configuration. I do, however, like the esee sheath, the kydex that it comes with. It has a very good, and that's not even locked, and it does have that slide lock in there, which makes it almost impossible to get it out. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about the kydex. So actually, now taking the knife out, this is my laser strike. As you can see, the factory coating that it comes with has been stripped off, and then I boiled the exposed blade in vinegar. So I would boil the vinegar in my kettle, which does two things. It cleans my kettle, and it forces a patina onto my knife. So I'd boil the vinegar, pour it into a mason jar up to a line that I know is going to cover the blade, and then put the knife in, standing up in the vinegar, leave it for 10 minutes, came back, reboiled the vinegar, put the knife back in for another 10 minutes, and did that 3 times, and it came out with a nice black, like a force patina, you know. And then the spine of the laser strike did not come from the factory sharpened. I don't know how well this is going to show, but right about here, I clamped this up in a mill and leveled it all out, and then milled about 2.5 thou off at a time until I was happy with the spine. So there was no filing. This was actually milled, and that works. It's actually a really good spine for your ferro rod. Oh, I hope I didn't get that in my coffee. Oh well. And the bow drill divot does come from the factory in this knife. It does have like a wet fire and a small ferro rod in the scales, but I just find that a little too hokey. I guess if you really were stuck, then it may be a good option, but who knows if at the time you need it, you'll be able to get these screws out because of, you know, wetness, moisture, and it being steel screws. They'll end up seizing eventually. So really I just rely on multiple ignition sources in my kit and on my person, rather than relying on what's in here as a backup. So really, and then after the patina, I've begun polishing the blade where the grind is. So this is like a high saber flat grind. It's like a cross, I guess. And then I've begun convexing the edge as well, which I think lends itself really quite well to this knife, just due to its design and size. So that's a quick look at the mods that I've done to my esee Laser Strike. Thanks again. Ciao. Alright, so one other thing I wanted to add. I also recently picked up the Benchmade 162 Bushcrafter. I happen to be a big fan of Benchmade knives. I have 2 of their pocket knives and a couple of, and this fixed blade, sorry. This is the S30V, the American Super Steel. It's a bit of a bugger to, like, say if you get nicks in your blade. It's a bugger to get out, but it's once you have this baby sharp, it stays sharp for quite some time. And then getting the factory grind marks out of it even is tough. But you know, it comes up real nice on the strop. The verdict isn't in yet on the scales. I have a fairly large hand. My fingers and my hand do fit in the I guess cutout, or in there, I don't know what you would really say, like I guess the cutout or the guards. My hand does fit in there fairly comfortably, and in most grips this is a very comfortable knife, and so far I've been very happy with it. It's been a great investment. The sheath, on the other hand, not so much. It's basically like a taco style sheath. It is Kydex, but when I think of Kydex, this is not what I think of. Yeah, I think Benchmade could really up their game a little bit. I'm positive I could come up with a better design on my first attempt than what this is. But, however, the knife is very comfortable to use, and there may be a little bit of touch-up work right in here where the finger guard comes down. You get a little bit of a pressure point sometimes when you're really cutting hard, right into my finger right there. So I would soften this up here with a file or a Dremel tool or something like that and soften these corners a little bit. And I think after that this would be a very comfortable knife to use for extended periods. The ergonomics are actually pretty good for my size of hand anyway. It's nice to see that like a normal, 4-inch-ish blade has handles that are comfortable for someone with my size of hands. So that's that knife. And then also we have the SE6 here. This one is not mine. It's my friend Richard's. He brought this out to put it through its paces, and I can tell you one thing. Some of the other people that I've seen use this knife, they must have smaller hands, but for me, this knife fits my hand almost like a glove. Almost like every esee, the scales are a little squarish, so they may need a little softening as well in some key areas. But I mean, that's nothing that the average person can't do with a half-round file or a Dremel tool, or to make this knife a much almost a perfect knife, really. Like for me, as far as a bigger knife goes. And maybe as a one-tool option, this would be a good one. It's very comfortable. I could use this knife for hours. I can't really say enough about this. I almost find it more comfortable than my Laser Strike. So, for sure, someday in the future, Chris will be getting himself an SE6. Hopefully. Alright, thanks guys. That was just a quick little update on what we're using for knives currently. Thanks. Bye.